Hi everybody, and welcome to my studio. It's a nice day, so today we're outside and we're painting. I already have my canvas ready. It's covered in a thin coat of liquid white that I made myself. And let's get started. The colors that I'm using today are going to show up in the description of the video, and if I can manage the video editing, they should show up at the bottom of your screen right now. So let's get started. First, I'm going to be using a little bit of alizarin crimson, and I'm going to start at the top of the canvas, making some kind of line. With that, I'm not going to clean my brush, I'm just going to go into a little bit of the Pthalo Blue, and start again. Don't worry too much if your colors mix, that's a good thing. Sort of bring that down. With a clean brush, I'm just going to start blending this all together. And it's going to get lighter and lighter as I move down because of the liquid white that I have on the canvas. Now for this painting, I'm going to add a little bit of water. So I'm going to go into my phthalo green, mix that with the phthalo blue to kind of make kind of a nice aqua color. When you make your water, you want to start from the bottom and you want to go up like this. Nice, maybe mix it a little bit better on my brush. Horizontal strokes, and as I go up, it gets lighter and lighter and lighter. And then reload my brush again, and then same thing on the other side. Again, all together. Okay. So that's the sky, and that's the water. The next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to add a cloud. So I'm going to dip into the liquid white that I have and go into a little bit of alizarin crimson and some white. So I have white and crimson, and for the clouds, I'm just going to do any kind of shape, just sort of really haphazardly with the brush. Never really letting my brush rest. And I can knock off some of the blue that I might be picking up. And a little bit. Brush, I'm going to start blending the bottoms of these clouds just by touching, touch, touch, touch. And I'm going to leave the tops of the clouds alone. Over here. Using the top corner of my brush. If I use the top corner of my brush, I can see where I am. If I use the bottom, I can't see. With a clean brush, I'm going to give the clouds a small little lift. Make them feel light and airy. And then set them into the background. And with a new fan brush, I have lots of brushes so I don't have to clean them all the time. I'm going to go into a little bit more liquid white, a little bit more of that same color. And the liquid white, I'm adding it because a thin paint is going to stick onto a thin paint, so I want some more distinct clouds in the front, so I want them to go on top of everything. With some horizontal delay. Something like that. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a mountain. So to make a mountain, you're going to need to take some of the Pthalo Blue, some of the Prussian Blue, some of the black, and some of the crimson. You can also add brown to that and green sometimes if you want to, but today I want kind of closer to purple, so I'm adding less colors. Okay. And to make a really distant one, I'm going to take some of that white that I've used, and I'm going to add that to a small pile of that, just to get a really light color. Cut off a little bit, and find out where the first mountain lives. Kind of like that. This mountain here is really far away, so I don't have to do too much with it. Sort of focus on the top. Then take a clean brush and sort of pull it. Pull it in the direction that it goes. And that's the first mountain. The next mountain, because it's a little bit closer to us, it's going to get the full dark paint. So I already have it made up. Pull it a little bit thin. Got yellow there. Sounds good. Cut off a little bit. And this one's going to be here. When you're doing your mountains, the most difficult thing to do is to not just make a triangle. That's one of the things I struggle with sometimes, is to just not make a pure triangle. If you find you've done a triangle, just change it to another shape. And just be on the lookout for when you're doing one of those things. The most important thing is that this top edge is very well defined. Everything else down here doesn't matter. We're going to pull through anyway. Using the same brush from before. Pull it down. One strategy I like to do, if I find I'm doing too many triangular mountains, is to do a mountain with a kind of a plateau, flat top on it. And I find that prevents me from doing the triangle mountains that a lot of people end up doing. At this point, you can sort of lay out your mountain using brush strokes. I'm not sure if you can see it on the camera, but by pulling the paint in one way and then pulling it in another, I can see how my mountain looks. So I can get an idea of what it will look like before I add it in the paint. And clean off the paint. and we're going to add some snow to this mountain. For this mountain here, I think I'm going to add some white and a little tiny bit, just a little bit of red to make kind of a really nice pink. Maybe a little more white, lighten that up, and leaving it marbled like this. That way I get a variety of color. And I go to the top of my mountain. Really lightly. See, I almost lost my knife just by doing this. Really important to be gentle, barely touch it. Something like that. And then for the shadows on the mountain, I'm going to use the same white. I'm going to mix it with some of that blue that we had before. Leaving it streaky and marbled like that. Do the same thing. And this time I'm going a bit of the other way. If you think it's a little bit too vibrant, you can always add a little bit more white to the paint. And just like that, when you're in a mountain, next you want to do is take a clean brush. I'm going to clean my first brush. Keep the devil out of it. And start tapping at the base. And the idea of this is that the top of the mountain will always be more distinct than the bottom of the mountain. So I'm lightening it up. And by lightening it up, I'm also going to give myself more of a lighter background. Because I'm going to add some dark trees onto this. And those dark trees won't show up nearly as well as they would if I bothered to lighten the color. You can tap this until it's just completely soft. Then, lightly sort of follow the mountain. This mountain slopes down like this, so I'm picking up in the opposite direction. To the mountain color, it's already quite dark. I'm going to add some green and some dark brown to it. So I have like a really dark, kind of woody green color. And I'm going to start adding some foothills. So I'm going to drag through the brush like this, drag through the paint like this, and that's going to shape my brush to make it a little bit more round on the top. And I'm going to start off with the distance. Maybe I might even add some of this white. And I'm going to start tapping the brush. those ones are far back, so they got a little bit lighter. And these ones are closer, so they're going to start here. So come around. Maybe in the front first. That way I have two frames. Some distant trees. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take some of this white that I have, mix it with some of the sap green that I have. I'm going to start adding some trees. This is just a 1-inch brush. I'm just loading up all kinds of paint. And for the grass, start adding grass right now. Just a little light push up kind of stroke like that. Every once in a while, it's a really good idea to touch maybe one of your yellows and just change the color of your green just a little bit. That's going to help give a lot more distance and draw. You're going to start getting like rows of different grass. Maybe this grass here is like a little bit drier than grass in other parts of the painting, so it's a little bit more brown. Back to the green. And there's a nice field right there. I want to add some trees in that field because it looks kind of empty right now. So I'm going to take a fan brush, go into some sap green and some of that dark color. And I think I'm going to add some evergreen trees. Evergreen trees are really easy. You're just going to touch a straight line, and then just with the corner of the brush, you can push down or you can push up. If you push down, you're going to get kind of a tree like this, which is, it looks moist to me. Like it looks like it's healthy, it has lots of water. So the boughs are sort of hanging down and they have lots of water. If you decide you want to push up, those trees always look a little bit drier to me. Maybe they're better for Christmas trees, I think, that have been drying out. Something like that. Maybe a little bit darker. Maybe a little bit darker. And I do that before I've gone too far with adding the grass. Back to that same grass brush. Add a little bit more grass. Yellow this time. That's probably pretty good. going to clean a brush up. Shake off the excess. Beat it so it's really dry. You don't have to do it this way, but I like to check that my brush is dry by touching it onto my painter's clothes. You can use a paper towel or something like that. But it's really important that it's dry because we're going to make the water now. So touch and pull down. And then pull to the side. So those are the reflections for our water. We still need to add a few other little things. We might want to add some ground. So take some brown, a few different browns, mix them up. Maybe a little white in there to lighten it. Leaving it kind of marbled like that. Just really small when it's far away. Kind of like that. And add a little bit of water line. Liquid one. This one's looking a little bit plain over on this side. So I'm going to add maybe one tree. I like the mountain, I like the clouds, so I'm not going to interfere with those too much. This is just that same dark color that I had in. Add some tree trunks. So that's just a little bit of the Vandyke Brown mixed with the brown, maybe some black. Adding paint thinner so that it sticks really well. You want to add a lot of paint thinner. Really impossible to add too little. You want it really thin like this. Maybe even more. And then add the parts of it. Maybe there's like different trees in here, more than just one tree. And they have some branches. When you paint a tree, you're kind of like, you're painting the tree like a sandwich. You do the back of the tree first, the middle of the tree next, and then you do the outside. Something like that. Then, the next thing you do is you're going to add highlights to this tree. So, I'm going to use some of the same sap green white and some cad yellow. And working on where the sun is, you can use the mountain to tell where the sun is. So where the light is, that's where the light's coming from. So most of my light is going to be on this side of the tree. Cover up some of the other tree over there. And that's really good sometimes. Don't cover everything up, but if you cover a few things up, you're going to get some more distance. And that's really the more important thing, is to get like a nice 3D effect. Down here, add some bushes. We still haven't done this side of the painting yet, so let's go in, and this time I want to use the darker paint to lay down the grass. So we're going to go into that dark color that we mixed up, mountain color with the sap green. And what can we do here? Let's actually reflect some of this into the water first. Now that I'm looking at it, I think that this lake sort of continues on that way. Add a water line. And I don't feel so bad about adding the water now, or adding some of this land now. So, and you can just tap anything. You can tap, you can even do a brush like stroke like that. It doesn't make a big difference. I prefer to tap because tapping is a really important stroke. So I like to tap so I can practice. And for this one, I think I want to have a really big tree somewhere up here. Not everybody's a big fan of big trees. I know a lot of the time my wife hates it when I do them. So, she's my cameraman today, so I'm trying to make her laugh. But the big trees are really sometimes important for adding in distance. So this big tree, and I did just a chisel stroke, so go back and forth like this into your paint until it gets really sharp like that. Okay? You can use the fan brush too if you want, but I'm done with this guy, so I'm just going to use him. Big trees need big brushes. Right before you get to the mountain where the snow is, that's going to be the most difficult part to go over because there's a lot of white paint there, and that's going to fight you. You can thin your paint a little bit with some paint thinner, and that helps. Reload your brush, and that helps. Going over it a couple times also helps. maybe one more little guy here. One more little guy here. I might define that just a little bit better. It does look a little splotchy, so maybe just here, here, here. Anything to sort of help out that tree shape. And then I'm going to highlight that. So take the fan brush, add some color to it. And these spruce trees tend to be a little bit lighter in color than the deciduous trees that tend to have leaves. So you can even add a little bit of blue to your highlight color and it won't do anything wrong. Yellow and blue make green anyway. So. As you get closer to the bottom of the tree, your highlight's going to start getting darker. And that's exactly what you want. When you get down to near the bottom, maybe give it a color change. Start pushing up a little bit. Get some bushes. Something like that. And for these little baby trees, I'll brush a little bit. I'm going to make them just a little bit lighter. Possibly a little too much thinner on them. That's okay. We can fix that. Fill in the grass. Now, in the tree there are some dark spots here. You want to make sure you leave those alone. Start pushing up. This bank over here should be darker. That's the way we wanted it. So there's no need to over highlight. Something like that. And the last thing I like to do is, if it's any kind of like a forested place, maybe there are some things that you can do to make it look a little bit more alive, teeming with life. So one thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to my brown, and somewhere here and there, this tree has a thing, a trunk sticking somewhere in it. There's another tree in there, we don't know where it is. Then going to script liner brush, make it really thin like we did the tree over there. Thin the paint. Whenever you're using the script liner brush, it's a really good idea to thin your paint. And then adding different other little trees that live in there. In some of these darker areas, you can go into the white. You can just dip into the liquid white. Thinner things, maybe some nice color things in the and these details are really, really nice to have. You can also do little different things like change the color a little bit. You can go into some red. Maybe these down here have a little bit more red in them. Red's a really good color because it draws you into the painting. So a nice place to sometimes put your red is near the bottom. And just like that, it's now fall. And that's more or less it for this painting. I hope it was fun for you guys to watch me do a painting. I hope I can do more of these videos for you guys. My apologies on the somewhat haphazard schedule of uploading. Past couple weeks I've been on vacation, spending time with my family. So I appreciate your patience with me. And then for signature, you're just using bright red. Bright red, thin it out. You can use any color. I like bright red because it really does show up well on nearly anything I do. This is not a lesson on how to do your signature. I am not good at that. Thank you very much for watching me paint today. I hope you guys have a great day. I'll see you guys later. Bye.